I told myself it was just a brief escape, a chance to feel alive again. Daniel, my husband, was a decent man, but lately our marriage had sunk into routine. Quiet dinners, weary mornings, and words that carried no warmth. Then Ryan, an old flame, reached out with promises of adventure. I gave in. I planned a secret trip with him, telling Daniel I was leaving with friends. Before stepping on the plane, I blocked my husband's number so nothing could disrupt the lie. The week with Ryan was everything I thought I craved: lavish meals, laughter, and stolen kisses that made me feel young again. With him, I abandoned responsibility, vows, and the man waiting back home. Each night, I told myself it was harmless, that I'd return to my life and Daniel would never know. I believed I was clever enough to hide it. But in quiet moments, guilt pressed against my chest. I pushed it away by shutting off my phone, refusing to check for his calls or messages. For that week, I lived in a fantasy while Daniel had no idea where I had vanished. When it ended, dread mixed with relief. On the flight home, I unblocked his number, expecting to see missed calls and messages filled with worry. There was nothing. My stomach twisted, but I convinced myself he was simply giving me space, saving the lecture for later. I walked into our house, forcing a smile, ready to slip back into normal. But the air felt wrong. Too quiet. His shoes weren't by the door, his jacket wasn't on the chair, and the familiar trace of his cologne was gone. On the kitchen counter lay a letter with my name written in his hand. My fingers shook as I unfolded it. Emily. I don't know where you went or why you shut me out, but your silence told me everything. A husband should never have to beg for a place in his wife's life. I waited. I worried. And I realized I deserve more than being locked out. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. I won't wait for explanations anymore. Goodbye. The words cut deeper than any fight ever could. My chest burned, my legs gave way, and I dropped into a chair. I wanted to call him, to scream that he was wrong, but I knew he was right. My betrayal had spoken louder than anything I could say. Days bled into weeks. Daniel never returned. He ignored my calls, my messages, even the letters I sent to his parents' house. It was as though I had been erased from his world, left behind in the silence of the home we once shared. I had traded loyalty for fleeting excitement, and the cost was permanent. Ryan tried reaching me afterward, but I cut him off. The thrill I had once chased now felt poisonous. He was never part of my future. All I wanted was Daniel back, yet the longer time passed, the clearer it became. He wasn't coming. He had finally chosen himself over me. I began to remember the little things I had overlooked. How Daniel always made sure my car had fuel. How coffee was ready for me in the morning. How he called me home when I felt lost. Those small acts of love now replayed in my mind like punishments. I had craved adventure, but destroyed the stability that truly mattered. Friends noticed my change. They asked why I looked pale, why my wedding ring was missing. I lied, saying Daniel and I had simply grown apart. The truth was uglier. I had shattered something unbreakable, and he walked away before I could beg him to stay. Months later, divorce papers arrived. They were simple, without spite or anger, just final. He didn't want revenge or a fight. He only wanted freedom from me. My signature felt like the last nail closing the coffin of the life we once had. Some nights, I still pick up my phone and stare at his contact, wondering if he ever thinks of me. But I know I'll never hear his voice again, never see his quiet smile, never feel his steady love. That one trip didn't just break my marriage. It erased the man who once promised forever. I've learned too late that love isn't built on passion or thrill. It's built on loyalty, respect, and the quiet comfort of trust. I lost Daniel because I forgot that. And while the world moves forward, my heart stays haunted by the memory of a husband I blocked out, only to find he had shut me out forever.